Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. Thank you for tuning in to another video, and today we're reacting to the last 2 days of card reveals. It seems like we might only be getting 2 champions this expansion. Normally we get 3, but it seems like we might just be getting 2 because if we were getting more than 2, they probably would have released a champion support cards and then the champion. But we've had 2 days of variety cards, or at least that's what it looks like to me. So likely we're only getting 2 champions this time, that being Nidalee and Neko from what we've seen so far. Also, quite often with these support cards, they're not going to be in any of the champions starting decks, and usually they're more focused on PvP, but we'll still be looking to see if any of these will be good to pick up inside of Path of Champions. If you're enjoying all this Path of Champions content, definitely like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So here are these couple rows. These are all the new cards that are added. So first we have the Tuft Web Spinner, so a 2-cost 3/1 spider, and this is from the Shadow Isles. Also has that Fearsome. Play if an ally has a different subtype than me, give it -2 this round. This will be a fairly easy effect to get off since they're giving more and more subtypes to, well, everything pretty much. So as long as you have a subtype that's not a spider, you'll be able to reduce down a enemy's power by 2. Now again, this is just going to be for the round, but it's still a fairly strong effect. Playing this either for attack or defense will be good. If you're attacking, you can reduce them down below that 3 power threshold, so this unit can attack with that Fearsome and not get blocked. Or if you're defending, you could also play this just to nullify the enemy's attack, especially since it could be in the very early game. So overall, decent card. Next up we have the Deck Hunter 2-cost 1/3 cat from Bilgewater. Play manifest a follower that has a different subtype than allies in play. So again, just further doubling down on that different subtype sort of build. So if you're trying to go for that, this could be decent for you, although the stat line is pretty weak. It'll be a decent blocker though. Alright, next up we have the Siren Song, so 4-cost slow, also Bilgewater. Summon a random husk, grant 1-cost allies everywhere 1/1. So this would be very good for certain builds, such as obviously Evelyn, but also if you're going with Misfortune or Gwen, where you're summoning these 1-cost ephemerals every round, could be pretty decent. That being said, it is a little expensive for its effect, so you'd either want something to make this go off more than once, or something to reduce down its cost, but could be worthwhile pickup if you see it in a shop for some champions. Up next we have the Swindler's Den, so 6-cost landmark. Your cards in hand have fleeting. When you play a card, draw 1. This is Bilgewater. Really, this is just way too expensive to ever use in Path of Champions. And the effect, very niche, not really anyone's going to want this. Like, maybe Bard, but even then, normally, you're not going to want to make all your cards fleeting. So this is something that you probably want to build around in PvP. Not really going to affect us at all. Probably want to avoid this in the vast majority of cases. Now on to the Sacred Shears. So 1-cost equipment for Shadow Isles. Attack when another ally gains power from Hallowed, so does my bearer. So really strong if you're playing a Gwen deck. If you're not playing a Gwen deck, then this is essentially useless. So if you see it in a shop for Gwen, pick it up, otherwise avoid it. Alright, here we see the Necrotic Nesting, so 2-cost 2/2 with Fearsome, but you see it doesn't have a gem, which means this can't be added to your deck itself, but it's a part of this card over here, the Necrotic Arachnoid. So 8-cost 5/8 Shadow Isles. When I'm summoned, summon 2 Necrotic Nestings. You just saw that previously. When another ally dies, drain 1 from the enemy Nexus. So not bad. You're essentially playing this 8-cost. You gain 1 5/8 and then 2 2/2s. Decent for filling out your board, either being more aggressive or filling out blockers. Also, the effect isn't bad. This isn't the only card that does this. There's essentially 2 other cards that have very similar effects. Seems, again, really expensive, especially for Path of Champions, but if you could get this a little bit cheaper, probably would work out quite well. Even if you could get the Poro Fluff on this, so you play it for a 1-cost, also would be pretty strong. Next we have the All-Seeing Oracle, so 4-cost 4/3 for Ionia. Play, pick 1 of 3 fast or slow spells in the enemy deck or hand, create a Carvings of Divination for it. You see that right here, 1-cost fast, stop the chosen spell. Now while I think this is definitely more of a PvP card, could also be quite well in certain situations, so if you're going up against some people like Aurelian Soul or Viego, this could really help you because you could stop like For Viego, for example, his one spell for draining your own units or killing one of your units, or killing a unit and reducing all your opponent's power. There's a lot of very strong, fast, and slow spells that Viego has, so being able to pick one of those and just have a one-cost deny would be pretty strong. Outside of those certain adventures, this card would be fairly useless though. Next up we have Rejuvenating Breeze, so 5-cost burst, heal your Nexus 3 and draw 2. So decent mana for those two effects, both getting some sustain and some extra draw, not bad. Overall though, it is still relatively expensive just for anything in Path of Champions. Having to spend 5 mana is quite a lot, so if you could get this reduced down at all, or at least have sorcery, so you're getting essentially 3 free spell mana every round, that could really help you out. But especially if you could get something where this goes off twice, or also just has some extra effect, could be worth playing. So overall, not a bad card, although slightly expensive. Alright, next we have the Bonehide Tritail. So 4-cost cat from Noxus, so 3/2 with Overwhelm. When I'm summoned, grant me 1/1 for each different subtype other allies have. This could be a very powerful card, as long as you're having a couple other subtypes on the board. Like even just having 2 and playing this as a 5/4 could be very strong. So depending on your deck, this could be quite good for you. It's going to be very situational, but if you see this in a shop, you might want to go ahead and pick it up. But first, just open your card gallery, look through what you're playing. If you have those subtypes, then pick it up. If you're not able to generate those subtypes, then this is going to be a little bit too weak, so then don't bother. But situationally, a strong card. Alright, next we have the Ravenborn Tome, and this seems crazy. So 2 cost, 1 power, Noxus equipment. When my bearer plays a skill, copy it. This is going to be amazing for like if you're playing Jin, where a lot of your units are playing skills, especially skills that can be repeatable, or also Annie. There's a lot of different decks that are going to be able to use this quite well, and this will be just the best thing possible. So if you see this in the shop, look through again your units, see if you have any that have skills that go off multiple times, or if they go off once, it's a very, very strong effect. Then be sure to pick this up, because this could be an amazing combo piece if you can get it to work for you. Again, great for some decks, like amazing. If you don't have any units that have skills that are worthwhile, then yeah, it will be pretty worthless. Alright, we have Captain Colric, so 5-cost, 1/5 with Overwhelm, and it's Noxus. Nexus strike, deal damage to the enemy Nexus equal to half its health rounded up. This is going to deal absolutely crazy damage. If you ever see this in the shop, highly consider picking up. If you can get this to activate, it's going to be absolutely incredible, really help chunking down those massive health bars. Now it does just have 1 power, so if this gets blocked at all, it probably won't be able to get that Nexus strike. It does have Overwhelm though, so if you are able to buff it up, then even if it gets blocked, it might be able to punch through and still damage the Nexus. You just need to hit for any damage at all to activate this Nexus strike effect, dealing half of their health. That'll be crazy if you can get this to activate. Alright, next up we have the Crested Lionhawk. So 6/5/5 from Demacia and Tough. Play, if an ally has a different subtype than me, manifest a Demacian spell. And this is a bird, so decent stat line. Little expensive. Normally Demacia has 5 or even I think 4 costs that have the similar stat line with Tough as well. And then its play effect is okay, but it just says a Demacian spell, so it could be like a 1-cost spell that's not really going to help you, or it might be like a 10-cost spell that's way too expensive. So it's going to be a fairly niche card. I don't think I'd really bother picking it up in most situations personally. Alright, getting close to the end here, we have the Mage Seeker Jr. 3-cost, 3/3 from Demacia. Spells that cost less than 3 cost 3 instead. So really crazy anti-spell based deck. This is again more featured towards PvP, but this could be good in some situations. If you know you're going up against a boss that has a lot of very cheap spells, could be nice to drop this on the board and kind of just screw over the AI. But again, this is going to be very niche card. That being said though, it is a 3-cost 3/3, so still a decent stat line. So if you end up picking this up and just has good effects on it, that could be worthwhile. Just be sure that you don't screw yourself over. So if you have a lot of cheap spells, you don't want to play this and end up harming yourself, because this is going to affect everyone, not just your enemy. Alright, last card, we have 5-cost 3/3 Elite from Demacia, the Scrutinizing Sergeant. So pick a unit from the top 5 cards in your deck that costs 3 or less, summon it, and place the rest into your deck. So it has a pretty terrible stat line on its own for a 5 cost, but you are able to play another card for free. So this could be decent as long as you have a decent amount of cards that cost 3 or less, or units that cost 3 or less. This could work out well for you, especially if you're able to get this for a bit cheaper. In general though, it's probably still too expensive to normally pick up, but as far as everything in Path of Champions, it's all about what items you're able to get on it. So it could still be decent in some situations, but in general, I'd probably avoid it. All right, that is it for today's reveals. A lot of interesting cards here, some that'll be great for specific decks, but likely we're not going to see any of these in champion starting decks. Maybe some of these subtype ones we'll be able to see in Neko's deck, because that's probably what she's built around, but in general, most of these will probably just end up seeing in a shop, and so it'll really be on a case-by-case basis of whether or not you want to pick them up. Hope you enjoyed the video though. If you did, definitely like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.